Relationship issues
Relationship talk.
on 702.
It's 11:18. It's time for the sixth feature. Of course, we're looking at relationships. Today, we're focusing on how you can utilize emotional and psychological tools to ignite your sex life. We are joined in studio by dating coach Leigh Joy. So, according to many relationship experts, igniting your sex life doesn't always begin in the bedroom. It often starts with the emotional and psychological connection built through daily interactions. Surprisingly, the most powerful tools are simple, yet deeply profound. The top three elements are often overlooked. These include gratitude, physical touch, and eye contact, all of which contribute to a deeper sense of connection and intimacy with your partner, paving the way for a more fulfilled sexual experience. Please call us in. Let us know what other tools you lean on and what struggles you've had as far as an emotional and psychological connection is concerned, and whether or not that actually helps your sex life. What's been your experience? 011 883 0702 072 7021 702. As I said, we've got Leigh Joy in studio with us, so take advantage. We've got the expert with us. Leigh, good morning. I keep saying it's afternoon. Good morning. Welcome to Radio 702. How are you doing?
So beautiful to see you.
Always. Fantastic to see. So, from my understanding, it isn't necessarily always just wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. That there's a lot more to the idea of connection. There's something deeper that speaks to the emotion and psychological. Help us understand even how we tend to overlook the idea that you must be connected beyond the physical to fully enjoy and take advantage of the sexual connection.
Often my clients will speak about in long term and even sometimes in the beginning of relationships where, especially with women, they speak about being numb, like physically, sexually, like vaginally numb. And I did some research around it, and the research was really interesting in that women that don't feel seen, really seen for who they are and appreciated for who they are, their bodies don't respond. So they may be able to have sex and they may be able to, but it's quite rare that they will climax. And then their partners feel like they're not good enough lovers. But actually, if we take it like 5 or 10 steps backwards and we look at what it means to really connect with somebody, I think we have our sex lives will be more fulfilling. So if we look at gratitude, right? And we look at, when I work with my couples, the first thing I do is I help them look at the 6 aspects of their lives that brings balance, right? So it's spiritual, physical, intellectual, creative, emotional, and sexual. So if we look at gratitude and you use those as what I call spices as a roadmap, look at what are you spiritually grateful for your partner, what physically, what do you like about them intellectually, what do you like about them creatively, emotionally, and sexually. So if it's not just, I'm grateful you made me breakfast this morning. It's like, I'm grateful that you made me bacon and eggs this morning because that's my favorite meal. So it's being specific. Or you've got a really hot body. I'm using really, it's like, when I look at your breasts or I look at your bottom or whatever, it really turns me on. It's just really, or intellectually, I love the way you dissect things. I love the way you can analyze and look at something at different angles. I find that really sexy. So when we're being grateful, it's looking at those, my suggestion is looking at those areas and showing gratitude for that. That's with regards to the relationship. But then there's also showing gratitude about your life. Like, I'm really grateful to be alive at this time and to have the children that we have, whether a blended family or biological. So gratitude can be individually for our own lives and as a couple. And I think that it was Oprah that coined that phrase, an attitude of gratitude, decades ago, which I've used very powerfully with my clients.
But I want to go back slightly to how we get to disconnect, because we don't start at a disconnection. Initially, in any partnership, there is the assumed connection, which tends to fizzle out. How does that fizzling out happen? What are the ways that couples can be disconnected from one another?
Oh, it's such a great question. Thank you for asking that. So I think the people start feeling disconnected when they're not seen and heard. So when their partners interrupt them, they don't look at them when they're speaking to them. When the one partner starts a conversation and the other partner doesn't respond to that conversation and changes the topic and moves on to something else. I think that with having children and especially young children, trying to keep young babies alive.
Constant race. Yeah.
Yes. I think work, coming home and being stuck in your head about work, and giving your family the crumbs instead of coming home with, in the car or the train or whatever, the taxi, just recalibrating your mind and coming into family, a way of thinking about family. They're the obvious disconnection, like infidelity and work with sex addicts and where there's objectification, where somebody feels objectified. So there are many ways that being dismissed and they're so subtle.
Oh.
They're so subtle. We don't necessarily almost really realize that we're disconnected. We just know, like, oh, that didn't feel good, or like I feel so far away from you. And things happen so subtly that people often come to me. They're like, I don't know where it started, but like we've landed up here where we're just walking past each other in the passage and where we've become housemates.
Ships in the night. So it's something that's built over a long period of time. Do you often find that people only pick up on the disconnection after a long time of it being in place? Is that it?
Yeah, they tolerate the disconnection. Depending on what's happening in their lives. I mean, if you've got a young child, I find with couples, especially the first 2 to 3 years, they tolerate that disconnection, and then they come and sit on my couch and they're like, I love my wife, or I love my husband, and I love our kid, but I feel so disconnected. So when I work with couples, I help them reconnect to themselves first, on those different levels: the spiritual, physical, intellectual, creative, emotional, essential, sexual, and then we rebuild. We don't go back to where they were, but we find a new way of connecting on those different levels and what each person needs with regards to those different levels.
And then how does it differ between men and women? Earlier you said that with women, if a woman doesn't feel the sex, she will say she feels numb. There's no great excitement, enticement attached to it. How does it differ between the genders?
That's such a great question. There's men will in my practice, they've spoken about they can feel with their partners, gay, straight, homosexual relationships as well as bisexual, talking about all relationships, right, being inclusive, is the partner will feel like they can feel the other doesn't enjoy it. They can feel like they're just going through the motions. So they feel disconnected from their partner, and they can see that their partner's not passionate and they're not enjoying it. So they feel there's something wrong with their performance. But actually it's got nothing to do with their performance, their sexual performance. It's got to do with how they emotionally connect how they're both emotionally connecting with each other, because it's both their responsibility.
I'm getting a couple of voice notes coming through. I'll play those for you. Remember, guys, it is, as I said at the beginning, this is now adult radio. We are, of course, speaking about things that pertain to grown-ups. We are having a sex focus and discussing those relationships. You're more than welcome to call in or to put questions to Leigh Joy. Have you used gratitude in your relationship? Has it assisted? Physical touch, eye contact, have those helped in igniting your sex life? Which emotional and psychological tools do you use to keep your sex life going? We speak about, let me should go to the voice note first before I come back and ask this question.
Hi, Tshidi, and your guest in the studio. So, I mean, I hear what your guest is saying. For me, what really worked was that, I mean, I was appreciated, I was seen, I was affirmed all the time. But I think once I lost interest, I was struggling within myself. So I think I needed to discover what my body needs. And once I had worked with that, I found that, my goodness, I am in a level where I'm forever happy. And because I understand myself now, I don't even need, those affirmations that much. But now that I understand my body, that's what worked for me.
So she now understands her body and understands what works for her. Weighing in on that, and maybe for me, I know you said gratitude earlier on. I don't get how gratitude enhances sex for couples, the connection for people. I wanted you to help me understand, how does that work, where you're grateful for the life we have, how it translates to, the connection and a better sex life. Just that connection for me.
So if I can speak openly around the sexual side of things, if for argument's sake, a partner performs oral sex, for argument's sake, right? Then, and there's a sense of gratitude afterwards, right? Because there's what's the word I'm looking for? There's going to be less pleasure for the person offering the oral sex than if they're making love, right? So if there's a appreciation and a gratitude shown for the sacrifice is such a big word, but the
I
the
thought
gift.
I stopped cringing. Okay, sorry. I'm laughing my way through this picture. Sorry. Yes. Okay.
So I'm being very basic in gratitude
Sure.
in that way, right?
That encourages your partner to do more.
And also where there has been something new has been tried, or something there was a feeling that that one of the partners felt, is saying thank you for bringing that up in me. But then it can also be like, I know one of my clients, his partner was very quiet when they were making love, and so we went through why she felt embarrassed, or she didn't want to speak or say anything, and excuse me, she worked through that, and then she was like, wow, sex actually became much better because she was able to express herself.
Got it. It's 11:31.
Relationship issues
Relationship Talk.
on 702.
That's right. It's the sex focus, relationship focus, adult radio. As I said earlier on, we joined in studio by dating coach Leigh Joy, and we're speaking about emotional and psychological tools to ignite your sex life. I'm still marveling at the idea of gratitude, but I think I get it as something that enhances the connection, enhances the sex life. Our traffic guy, Evangeline Zuza, he's now stepped out of the studio, was asking Leigh Joy about whether mavuso counts as a gratitude, right? So after the engagement, a payment is made, right, for that. And he wants to know if that counts as a sign of gratitude for the experience and that enhances the connection.
Can you tell me more about this? I don't know. I mean,
The
so it's
phenomenon
like
of mavuso.
Yes, so it's not like this. It's a sex worker that.
No, you're not necessarily a sex worker. The person's not necessarily a sex worker. Like they meet and there'd be a hookup in essence, and then end up wherever they end up. And in the morning, the guy might give the lady money. I don't often hear women giving men money, but I'm pretty sure it happens. I'm sure men give men money. Women, it's across the board. It is a sign supposedly of gratitude. I think depending on who you ask, the definition will vary, but in essence, that's it.
Well,
I don't know why he left the studio, because he should ask this question himself.
Exactly. Well, I think Gary Chapman, he wrote the 5 love languages, and gifts is one of them. So maybe
it's gifting.
Maybe it is a love language.
It is gifting. There's an issue around hugging and kissing, because we spoke about gratitude, but there's also a thing about physical touch. Let's speak about it and spend a little bit on how physical touch plays a role, and what do couples who aren't traditionally touchy-feely start to broach that and break that barrier and become more intimate in the physical way as well?
Well, they've done some fascinating studies on the 6-second kiss or the 20-second hug. That it will prolong your life by 4 years. If you do it as a daily practice, one or the other, or preferably both, your life is extended by 4 years. So it is what happens with a 6-second kiss or a 20-second hug is that's how long it takes for oxytocin to be released in the body. And oxytocin is the bonding chemical, or neurotrans. I forget the word now, what it is. But oxytocin is the bonding chemical, and it helps people feel close and connected. So, and the physical touch doesn't have to be a sexual touch, right? It can be a safe touch, what I call safe touch. So it could be a hand on the shoulder, it could be caressing hair. I mean, it doesn't have to be sexual. So physical touch is a swap of energy, if you want to put it that way, or a connection of energy, and it's very powerful in bringing the body into an alignment and a sense of feeling safe. Because when our bodies, especially women's bodies, when they feel safe, then we can open up. And I know this is super cringy, but we're our bodies, when they're safe, they're relaxed, which means that we're more open to receiving pleasure. So if a woman is tense and wound up, it's very hard for her to relax, which means it's more difficult for her to orgasm.
I want to play you some more voice notes before I continue with my own curiosity, my own questions. Here's some voice notes for you, for my listeners.
Hi, Tshidi Madia here. I run my own counseling practice, and I also write books. I have recently written a book focusing on couples, and there I mentioned the importance of saying thank you. See, after people have made love, it is important for a man or whoever, one of the partners, to say thank you. Thank you, you are awesome. Thank you, you are amazing. And it's amazing how when I shared this with the couples, at first they were so uncomfortable, but they came back and said, look, this thing of saying thank you actually works, and thank you makes room for more, and thank you makes performance better. Thank you, Tshidi Madia here from Pretoria.
Hi, Tshidi and your guest there. I don't know, I might be wrong. I think gratitude shows appreciation, and it can also say that you are pressing the right buttons, and it can also say that call again. Lastly, I think it's endorse you, as it says PTY Ltd, that you are the only one who's doing this. I don't know.
Voice message.
It says PT. I like that part where it says call again. I can believe it says call again. I don't think it says you're the only one who's doing this. I don't think it's that. But it definitely is encouragement, isn't it?
Absolutely. I love what the first caller spoke about, saying thank you. But I do think it needs to be meant. I don't think the one must say thank you every single time if you don't feel it, if it wasn't great, if it wasn't.
It must be intentional.
It must be,
words.
Yeah. Or that aspect of it was really great. I think being specific is a beautiful practice in being able to develop a repertoire, if you want to put it that way. And I love, thank you means I can push, well, it pushes the right buttons and I can call again.
I actually love the way he explained that, like, that you can call again. That's very cute there. Here's some more voice notes for you, Joy. Okay, hold on. I think Abel's going to find that. It's okay, Leigh. Let's speak about eye contact as well. I mean, you always know, I think everybody understands the idea of making eyes at one another from across the room. You hook a person sometimes purely just from the eyes. That connection, holding that excitement through the eyes and communicating through the eyes. That.
Eye contact for me is so important. So they're different types of eye contact that have different effects, right? So if they're like scolding, angry eyes, excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat. If they're scolding eyes, then it creates disconnection. But a soft gaze and looking at each other is very important. I think long-term relationships or relationships that have gone on for some time, there may be the danger that people stop looking at each other. I mean, it's a small thing like clinking your glass and not looking at the person you're clinking your glass with. So it doesn't mean you have to stare at a person. It doesn't have to be a long gaze. I mean, although eye gazing as a practice, from a sexual thing is a thing, go and have a look at it. It's really beautiful. There's some videos on YouTube where you sit cross-legged and you put your right hand, left hand on the, anyway, have a look at it.
Couples being made to literally just stare at one another for a particular period of time, being told that it'll enhance the connection.
Absolutely. So it's a soft gaze, and it's moving through the discomfort of what comes up for being seen. So there's a vulnerability in that person looking at you through the discomfort of being looked at. And the stuff that rises up in us at where we feel vulnerable and seen, and then, I don't know if I'm making sense, and then transcending that and then creating that connection.
Well, that's where it comes from. I think in my head, I think you are. Here are some of those voice notes. Abel, there are voice notes.
Tshidi Anonymous, myself and my partner, we have a method of kissing. There's the casual hello, or just give me some love kiss. And then there's a kiss with connotations of there are going to be relations later.
I love that, because that's very clear communication. There's also that in the kissing. But I think I asked you earlier on, just about even the couples that aren't used to it, the practice. What do couples need to do? I think it applies to all these different ways of enhancing connection. Is if you're not used to it, what are the steps that will help you become intentional, to become comfortable with it, to be able to start deriving the intended pleasure from these that would lead to the connection?
Well, I just had an idea. What if we combined all three? What if we had to take the hand of our partner, look at them gently in the eye and say, thank you for being such an amazing partner. Thank you for caring about me. Thank you for whatever it is that you want to show gratitude for. And I think we must change it up, right? We must be creative in our gratitude. And I see it. I see how it creates connection. And I don't want people to go and do it because they want sex, because that's manipulative, right? It's more about showing gratitude, expressing physical touch, and having a soft gaze, eye contact, because you love the other, because you want to connect with the other, and you want to deepen and have a more profound connection.
I feel like that's a very fine line when it comes to manipulation, so to speak. I'm going to take a quick break. I'll come back to you. There are texts, there are questions. I'll put those to Leigh Joy in just a bit. 011-883-0702 if you've got questions for our expert. 072-702-1702. If you also want to weigh in, what do you do with your partner? How do you enhance the connection? Mvangeli asked us about Mavoso, but actually we're also speaking about touch. Is it touch? Is it in the eyes? Is it a spirit of gratitude? It is expressing gratitude towards your partner in that back and forth engagement in order to enhance your connection. 011-883-0702.
Relationship issues
Relationship Talk.
on 702.
That's right. We are joined in studio by dating coach Leigh Joy. We're speaking about emotional and psychological tools you can utilize to ignite your sex life. I said you can call in, put questions, tell us about your experiences on 011-883-0702, or send a voice note or WhatsApp on 072-702-1702. Earlier, Leigh, somebody had weighed in on kissing with their partner. What's long kissing? Kissing either like an innocent kiss or one that communicates that actually it's time for us, to do So just the language.
To do the what?
to engage. There is that about the language where intention is actually connected to the gratitude that you're showing, the touching, or the kissing, or even the eyes, even the eyes, the eye communication that you make through the eyes.
Yeah, there's another practice where you light a candle in the morning, one or the other, to say, hey, we're going to get it on tonight. So it's just a communication of, hey, I'm feeling in the mood. And and it gives the other person an opportunity to use that day to get in the mood that evening as well. So there are different techniques. I love this method of kissing where there's like a light peck or whatever. And like you said, an innocent kiss, it just means, hey, I'm connecting. And there's more passionate kiss means later, let's get it on, you know. And I think that the basis of what we're talking today and what I really want to get across is the importance of communication. So gratitude is a form of communication. Physical touch is a form of communication. And eye contact is a form of communication.
If it's difficult to actually express things like, let's say, gratitude through the word of mouth, do you then employ tools like a journal where you write down for the week how you made me feel when ABCD is done? What other tools are there that couples can utilize to communicate if it's uncomfortable, if there's discomfort in facing one another and actually saying it out loud?
You get some really cool mirror pens. So you could always write on the mirror like, hey, I really love this about you, or send them a WhatsApp, or do a little Post-it note on on the fridge. Or so if you find, I know one of my clients really struggles with that, is voicing her gratitude, but writing it has become something that makes it much easier for her.
Let me go to the WhatsApp line now. A couple of messages have come in. Tshidi, may you please check with your guest? I looked at my boyfriend's eyes while making love, and he asked me, why am I looking at him in his eyes? What does that mean? That awkward moment where you are staring at someone, because people, when you look at film and the lights, I'm removing myself, people just stare and people close their eyes. So being stared at even in the act, boyfriend finding it awkward. What is she meant to say in those moments? Should she communicate that I'm trying to deepen our connection? I mean, how do you navigate that awkwardness?
Oh, I have to share a very personal story, and I'm cringing just telling the story, but I have to share it. My boyfriend a couple of months back had the courage to say to me, love, why do you stare at me when you kiss me? And I was like, well, because I'm looking at you. And then I went away and I thought about, why do I stare? And I had this very awkward experience when I was dating, when I would, meeting
in the past, yeah.
And I'd been on a date and I was standing at my car and I thought that we were going to kiss goodnight. And so I closed my eyes and I puckered my lips waiting for a kiss. And I just heard this giggle and I opened my eyes and this guy was nowhere near kissing me.
Oh my goodness. So you're dealing with, that's actually quite traumatic. So you're dealing with PTSD.
So ever since that moment, I've become, it's so important for me to look and see, hey, where's his lips? And if he's actually wanting to kiss. So I think if with this caller, is to soften the gaze. So to soften the eyes, not to open the eyes, but just soften the eyes and explain. Because also, it makes a person feel very vulnerable when they're being looked at in that moment. So I think that was what my learning from looking at my partner. And where it's soft gaze as opposed to a stare.
Yeah. A message coming in from Sibs. Thank you is awful in romance, as it's like somebody doing you a favor. What is that? Tell them they're wonderful, as both of you are making love. It's not a paid for service. Thank you. Here is a tip as you performed well tonight. Wow, that was amazing, especially when you ... sensitive is much better and more loving and meaningful. I say that when you, I say thank you when somebody puts my filled dinner plate down in front of me, not for an orgasm. That's Sibs. And I think that you'd agree, because you keep saying that you've got to be specific.
And sex isn't transactional, right? I love what the caller said there. It's about making love. It's something that you both do together. So it's not, you're doing this and therefore I'm doing this. It's like having a deep appreciation for the connection and the co-creation. That's what making love is a co-creation of creating love between the two.
And then as we prepare to wrap up now, just your thoughts around, because sometimes FISA can be used positively for a connection, but sometimes people go too far. How do these tools help in navigating that? How can one lean on what is emotional, psychological, and trying to manage what has been a disconnection through fights in couples to try and bring each other back towards where you were?
So there's the sandwich approach, which I love, and it works as such. The first is you share your appreciation. This is for a conflict situation, right? You first share what you appreciate about the partner. So let's say, for argument's sake, you're going to complain about I might hit a blank. But okay, so the first part is to share an appreciation about something. The second part is to speak about what it is, the behavior you'd like to change. And then the third part is how do we collaborate to work on that together.
Sure.
So let's say, for argument's sake, I really appreciate it when you thank me for washing the dishes. I feel like I'm not being appreciated for the other things that I'm doing, and I'm wondering how we can work together so that we can show each other more appreciation.
And then, again, I'm wrapping up with Leigh Joy. Where can people find out more, particularly around this issue of eye gazing? I want to figure that out more, at least. Where should we direct people to go and look into things like that as tools, or even any of these, Leigh, even if it's finding you or some guidance from your services as well?
There's lots of beautiful material on YouTube. Thank you for asking me that, because there's a new Instagram account that I came across. I don't think they're too new, but I've recently came across them. And they're called Shani and Julius. And they started out as a fitness like coaches, a married couple, and they're now moving into the relationship space. And Julius, the husband, has got such amazing insights into what it means to be a man, and giving women's insight into a male perspective. But there's lots of amazing stuff on YouTube. And then you can also get hold of me on my WhatsApp is 079 525 8991. And then I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook under Leigh Joy Inspires.
All right, you got it, guys. There you can find Leigh Joy. A lot of people weighing in on the idea of Mabuso Teboka saying it's transactional. It's actually not a simple act of gift giving. I take that, Teboka, and I think that people have a different approach to it, but that's a different conversation altogether. Thank you so much for your time. That's Leigh Joy, who joined us there to discuss the different ways, the different tools, emotional and psychological, to enhance, to ignite your sex life.